Hey, good morning, guys. Don't mind me, I am just getting ready to go to work. I'm actually not at work right now. Still at home, just warming up the car. I wanted to say to fellow believers who may not be, how should I say this? Who may not know a lot about the feast of the Lord, not Jewish feast, but the feast of the Lord, especially the fall feast and how they connect with Christ. You have what you would call the Feast of Trumpets in English. With Hebrew, it would be called Yom Teruah, which means the day of shouting, and the blowing of the shofar, the blowing of trumpets, which would mean, the blowing of trumpets, the shofar, that would mean announcing the arrival of a king. And then leading up to the Day of Atonement, which would be Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which means judgment. You have a 7-day period from the end of Yom Teruah to Yom Kippur. You have that 7-day period, which is the days of awe, and some people would also say maybe 10 days. But that 7-day period, if you want to really look at it, is a dress rehearsal for the 7-year tribulation. It is a dress rehearsal, a time of true repentance. Like I said, not through good works, but through repentance, through salvation through Christ and Christ alone. That should also want you to strive to do what's pleasing to the Lord as well, though, to maintain good works, but know in the end that it's not you, it's not what you do, but it's through repentance. Like I said, then there's the Day of Atonement, which would be judgment, and then Tabernacles. Like about a week later, you have the Feast of Tabernacles, and that's when Christ comes to tabernacle with us for the 1,000-year millennial reign. But that's, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what it's all about. The Jewish people, the Israelites, they practice all that without knowing what's behind it all. And sadly, a lot of Christians think that those are just Jewish holidays and feasts, but it's for Israel. I don't believe in replacement theology. I believe God is still working with Israel, and yes, he did temporarily blind the nation, but I do believe that there's collective individuals that do have Yeshua, and a lot of them look at themselves as completed Jews. But I do believe that we as believers, were and still are grafted in with that cultivated olive tree. We were once a wild olive tree, but now we're grafted in. We are grafted in, and we are part of the Commonwealth of Israel. We didn't replace Israel, but we were grafted in with Israel. So now we're a part of that Commonwealth, and it only makes sense that through that adoption, if I'm being adopted by a family, say I'm a child, I'm being adopted by a family, well, then I would do what that family does. I would talk how they talk. Eventually you're going to take on, or you're going to do and go by those same standard that your adopted family goes by. It wouldn't make sense for you to do your own thing over here while they do their own thing. No. That's not how that works, peeps. But anyway, yeah, I just I don't have complete time to go into detail about the fall feast, but they sound really fun. Then, like I said, the Feast of Tabernacles, what you would call Sukkot, you set up like a booth. Or, in modern times now, you could set up a tent, and it's like a remembrance of what the Israelites went through during those 40 years in the desert. That's what that is. It's like a memorial. And, it says even in the book of Isaiah that we're going to be, during the millennial reign of Christ, we are, we have to fit in there somewhere. But it said that we will be keeping the Feast of Tabernacles during the millennium, from Sabbath to Sabbath, from, new moon to new moon. We're going to be going, or at least the representatives maybe of each country. I don't know how all that's going to work, of course, but I do know that Christ is going to be ruling, and that the Feast of Tabernacles is going to be observed. And my guess is, from Sabbath to Sabbath, that the Sabbath is going to be, if it's not a thing according to a lot of Christian churches, it will be a thing again. So, like I said, we're living in the age of grace. We're living in the age of grace, but there's going to come a day to where we're going to learn Torah. Keep the commandments of God. But, alright guys, I'm kind of getting off track right now. I had better get to work. Bye guys.